It's Lee Partridge here on the Drive Time Show, and as promised earlier, going to the lines now, hopefully, all being well. Richard Johnson, good evening to you, Rich.
Good evening, Lee. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Getting excited.
Yeah,
we're nearly there.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, certainly are. Thanks for taking the time out to have a chat with us ahead of talking about the football. First of all, how have you been? How have you found lockdown yourself and your family? All been okay?
Yeah, we've managed okay, to be fair. Our little boy, he thinks he's in heaven. Bike rides, football and Xbox. He's not fussed about going back to school at all. But no, it's been strange times. But obviously one good thing that does come out of it, I suppose, is you get to spend a lot more time than you normally would with the family. So we haven't killed each other yet. We're still on talking terms. So yeah, we've coped.
That's all good news. Now, I know you've been doing some stuff at the club. Tell us a little bit about, I've mentioned it before, and I've been down the club as well through these strange times, but a little bit of stuff that the club's been doing to support and help the NHS and the wider community as well.
Yeah, it's been incredible, really. Obviously, the club being so close to the hospital, obviously when it all sort of lockdown kicked in and the sort of support for the NHS was sort of nationwide, it was sort of only fitting for the club to offer the stadium, really. So there was so many elements going on within the stadium. Obviously, some of the hospitality lounges were made into sanctuaries for the key workers. Obviously, we were providing the lunches and breakfast for, I think they were getting up to around sort of 1,300 meals a day at one point.
Wow.
So they had use of the laundry to wash the scrubs. So it's been an all-round effort, and there's been so many other businesses and even business partners of the club that have chipped in and helped towards that. So I think it was an amazing gesture by the football club to, one, support, but two, to sort of open up and let everybody use the facilities. But no, listen, I know yourself, you've been helping out, volunteering, and Watford Chamber of Commerce has been a big part of it as well. So I think the community spirit has really shone through, and it was amazing to see.
It was, yeah, and to be part of that, like yourself, and I know you work with some of the club's business partners, and everyone's, digging in, sticking together, to get through the times as best we could, and likewise, we've all done our little bit, and also you've been talking to some fans, haven't you? You've been phoning and having a conversation with fans. Tell us about that, Rich.
Yeah, so I think there's a certain number of, the government classed over 65s as a vulnerable category, if you like. So we've got quite a few season ticket holders that sort of were in that category, 65 plus, where current players, the coaching staff, ex-players, so I know Steve Palmer, Tommy Mooney, Luther as well, played a big part in it. And we were just sort of ringing around supporters, just checking in to make sure they were doing okay, because lots of obviously supporters were sort of on their own at that time, and I personally had a few messages to make video messages or to contact certain people, and it just made you feel good, and it sort of broke up the day a little bit. And listening to some of the stories, some of the supporters I spoke to had been sort of associated with the club since the 1920s, and they're sort of third, fourth generation family members that are still supporting the club now. So it was an amazing time, and like I said, I got to speak to so many lovely people. It was quite touching. Yeah,
it's great. Yeah, it's incredible. And when you're speaking to, some fans and they want to listen to your stories as well, don't they? Yeah, I want to listen to, the day at Wembley and 99 amongst other things. And it's good that you can share that with them, at that level and connect with them. Yeah, fantastic work.
It was good that I got to speak to that age group, because the younger age group now wouldn't know who I am. so it worked out quite well.
Yeah, good all round.
We had some stories to share.
It has been a strange time for footballers, of course. Lockdown. Everybody's been locked down. Not been training. 9 games to go. I think it's 9, isn't it? 9. Yeah, each one's going to be a cup final. How have the players been from anything you've heard and reacted and
I've only seen little bits that have been put on socials about sort of the training since they've been back, etc. But I know from sort of my own experience as a player that they would have had a strict sort of training regime through lockdown. I know Ben Foster was leading the Zoom cycle challenges and stuff like that, but I'm sure they would have had to check in every day, and they're sort of what they were eating. I think they still had to keep that in check, and obviously it's a little bit different now to when we were playing in terms of fitness and sports science and stuff like that. So I'm sure they all had their own sort of heart monitors at home. They had certain sort of exercises or ranges that they had to work in, so they came back all fully fit, and it's obviously given a few of the players that were injured also time to get back fit, and hopefully now we've got a full sort of squad. I know Daryl still might be injured, but on the whole I think it's given us a bit of opportunity to get players back fit, like Danny Welbeck. I know he got 60 minutes at the weekend against Brentford. So that must be a delight for him, really, who hasn't had much game time at all. So we're going to need everybody, like you say. 9 games is like a mini tournament, so everybody's going to play their part, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was down at the game, the Brentford game at the weekend. Well, I saw you down there, obviously, down at the game. And yes, the players, they did look, sharp, considering they've not had no match practice, so to speak. What's your thoughts on it going into the Leicester game? How do you feel? We're set up and we're ready to go, are we?
Listen, me personally, obviously I can't speak for the players and I don't know their mindset, but the squad we have, I think we should have every confidence going into these 9 games that we'll have enough about us to be safe at the end of the season. But it's a difficult one. All the training, all the sort of the gameplay and everything leading up to the Leicester game, no matter what you do on the training pitch, never replicates a game scenario or the intensity that's needed. Although you can train hard and you can put the effort in, but nothing ever really replicates a match situation. So I think a big part of it for me is going to be getting the players motivated. Obviously, with no fans there, it's going to be a different type of atmosphere that they're going to have to get used to. But like I've been saying all week, really, with 9 games to go, we can't really afford to take 1, 2, 3 games to get used to it. Everybody's got to be at it from the off, and I think a big part of that is going to come from Nigel Pearson, how he can motivate individual players and make sure everybody's switched on straight from the off. But I've got to say that they've looked quite sharp. Watching the highlights, I didn't stay for the whole game against Brentford, but watching the highlights, we looked pretty sharp. So I think midfield, obviously scoring goals is going to be a big part sort of for the run-in, but I think our midfield and front three, that whoever is picked can dominate teams. So it's just about being solid at the back and not sort of letting silly goals in and giving teams opportunities, really. Yeah,
and I totally agree with what you said there. With Nigel Pearson, I think we've got a great man there to lead us through this period as a man management, and also key players like Troy in the dressing room, Ben Foster, Herulio, to name just 3. We've got some big characters, strong characters that will know what it's all about and what it takes, and the younger players, can feed off of them, can't they?
Yeah, exactly, and I think looking at it, probably some of the younger players who are in the team might prefer that there's sort of not the same pressure, when you go away to grounds and you're not having a good game, crowds can get on you, and the be quite vocal and put you off your game and stuff like that. So going away from home might sort of suit some of our younger players and don't feel as much pressure on you to just go and freely play and express yourself. So it can work in both ways, really. And like I was saying earlier, it's going to sort of just who turns up with the right mental attitude on the day, and can sort of get at it from the start.
That's a great point. It can be a true leveller with no fans. Look, Rich, thanks for taking the time out to have a chat with us. We'll have a chat before the end of the season. There's about 5 or 6 weeks. But thanks for taking the time out to have a chat with us. Stay safe, all of you, and all the best to the family. And
no problem. See you soon, mate.
Speak to you soon. Cheers, Rich. Thanks, mate. Cheers,
Take
Rich.
care.
Bye. You
Bye.
too. Bye. There you go, Richard Johnson and his insight, a little bit of an insight and his thoughts on football, what's coming up, and also to what the club's been doing. And I can't stress enough, I've been down there quite a bit at the club and helping out different things and at the hospital and at the clubs, and it's just been so humbling what everybody has been doing to chip in and do their little bit, whatever it may be.